Hi everyone. So welcome back. Been a while. Today my anxiety has been crazy. I've been a bit of a whirlwind today. I'm sure you can all, well, any of you suffer with anxiety will know exactly what I'm going through. So please excuse the mess in my room. You see behind me, I've got my art room. This is where I normally work. So I've got all sorts going on. So various, well, I say various, many projects. Over here, if you see my previous videos, you'll have met Millie before. Millie's not a real cat. If you thought she was, then I'm pleased but surprised. So we did talk about briefly. I did show you. Now Millie was our cat. She went missing a few years ago. We don't know whatever happened to her, so it's still a sore subject to be honest. But because we don't know what happened to her, it just makes it harder somehow. We can't let go. So my project here is to make a life-size Millie. Now you can see I've done a lot of work so far already. We've got the basic shape of the cat, and we've got her basic markings. She has got quite unusual markings in a little bit, so she looks a little bit odd for a model, but it's right for her. So I shall put a photo on the screen and you can see. That's assuming I've figured out how to add a photo to the video, but we'll deal with that later, that's fine. Right now, I've got Millie, I've got my cup of tea, and I've got my needles. So with needle felting, the big thing I'm doing today is trying to make her more firm because she's quite soft at the minute, so she doesn't stand fantastically. And I think she was also a bit big, so I'm going to be felting her to pull her in. So she might go out of shape a little bit, but that's fine because we can add more layers to it later on. And eventually, I've got some of her face to rework. I want to rework around her eyes and also her ears, make them look a bit more realistic. And eventually, I can hopefully put some fur on her and make her look more like a real cat, just to freak people out even more when they walk in. Whenever I walk in the room and she's sat on the desk, I think there's a cat sat down there, but we haven't got a black and white cat. So, the other thing, now some people might not like this idea, but you see her whiskers, they're just placed randomly at the minute. I've tried all sorts with whiskers and I'm not happy with anything. Some people use different types of wire, and I'm not happy with any of those things I've used. So what I've started doing is collecting my current cat's whiskers when they fall out. Don't worry, I wouldn't do this if I was selling her, but she's never ever gonna be sold. But real cat's whiskers just look perfect because it is a real cat's whisker. Seeing as it's always got to stay with me, I don't mind using real cat's whiskers. But as I say, I wouldn't do that if I was going to sell a project, I promise. So what I'm doing today is I've got the needles. Can you see that? Sort of. They've got little tiny barbs across them. So if you prick yourself with this needle, it's really sharp. But they've got little tiny barbs along it. And what it does is that when you put it into the wool and pull it back out, it causes bits of wool to get caught in each other. And that's what makes it tighter. It pulls it in. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm working on her back end because she's quite a lot of softness there. So although I'm quite far on with the project, you can use this as a basic instruction anyway, because if you were doing a small project, you'd have to get the firmness in place and the shape to start with. But you can just casually stab away. She seems a bit mean, but it's not a real cat. Not just yet, it's not a real cat. It's just fluff. When she's finished, then it's a real cat. So, but that will take slightly longer. You can increase the speed slightly just by squeezing it together, and that starts to pull it in a bit faster. Just be careful that you don't stab yourself because it really does hurt. So I've come up here today, left my husband and my daughter watching TV. I actually came to send an email, which is quite good for me. I do still struggle quite a lot with my mental health and anxiety, so to come and do a job was good. I've got a few jobs done today, so I'm pleased with that. But my anxiety has been through the roof, and I can't even tell you why. But at least while I'm here, I can come up here and just... Well, it depends how you look at it, I suppose. I'm just coming up here to relax because it takes my mind off it. But if you were quite aggressive, I suppose you could take it out on your felt a little bit. Just keep stabbing it, but there we go. I'm not aggressive to my projects. I just need to calm down a bit. And at least while I'm up here and I'm talking to you, and I'm doing a bit of Millie, I'm making progress, and I'm having some calm down time. That's part of the problem I've got with this art room. So many projects on the go. But I have shown you this one before in the previous video, so I'll do some more. I haven't worked on it for quite a long while now because I got lost in my way a little bit. The shape was coming, but it was never quite right. But I think that's because I need to work on this, getting it a bit more firm. Now around her neck, that is quite firm. I don't know if you can see when I'm pressing it certainly on the back end. It's very, very squishy, very squishy. She has got burning. Now don't ask me about the burning because I make it up as I go along, quite frankly. I'm no expert in any of this. I'm a learner. I'm a crafter. I enjoy what I do. I stop when I'm happy with it. I would like this one to look realistic when it's finished, and I probably never will be happy with it, but that's life. That's the way it is. I am happy that it looks like a cat. It just would be nice if it does look like Millie when I'm finished. So, you'll sit that way, Millie. It's quite time consuming just doing this, but each time I do a bit, it gets a bit further. Let's see if I can show you, but it's difficult because she's black. It's hard to show you on the camera. So I'm going to work this bit here. You see there's a little bit of a dint there. Now this is where her original leg was, but this is probably going to disappear as I make it firm, and then I will rebuild the leg by putting new layers on the top. But that's okay, because these bits we have here will help to push that wool right into the middle and give her a bit of weight to her. Yeah, so the burning that I've got in here, I've just used basic wire. I just got a reel from one shop or other. There's a basic reel of wire, and she might even have a coat hanger inside her, I'm not sure. And as burning goes, I did make it up as I went along, to be honest. But she's got the two basic lines down her leg, loops over the top, comes down, and then she's got big one coming down. I think, yeah, I've got one that sits up into her neck to make that a bit more firm. And I did do some basic wiring around here just to bulk it out. So originally when I started the project I was just doing her head, but then I just got more and more carried away, as you do. And then before you know it, I've got a full cat. But for a long time she looked really rather strange. But she just looked like a cat now. Now, the early stages of doing the burning of obviously it wouldn't look like a cat at that stage, and you don't want to waste all of your colours you've got. And luckily, Millie's just black and white. If she was tortoiseshell, like my current cat, there'd be a lot more colours involved. However, I still didn't want to use all of my black up on the middle bits. So these plain roving wool that you can just get to go through the middle. And a lot of that I just wrapped around. I've got any handy to show you. Right. Okay, so I've got some here I can show you. So this is the black. I've got a big thing of black because I've got a full black cat to do. You see, it comes in. You can unroll it, and it's in big strips of wool. This is quite loose at this stage. It has to be worked in together. But I didn't want to waste that. But I had some plain stuff, and what I could do is, if you imagine like a bandage, if you're any good at first aid, if I just got the wire, I just wrapped it around and round, and then needle felted it into place. So that gave me the initial bit in the middle. Some people do use things like polystyrene in the middle as well, just to bulk it out and give it that firmness to start with. I have got a polystyrene ball in her head, I think. Have I? Yes, I believe so. I can't remember, it's been so long. So I'm just going to continue with this back end. I don't feel like I'm making very good progress today. Maybe it's because I'm talking to you. Talk too much, don't do enough. Come on, Millie, let's get you sorted. Now, there are things you can do to speed the process up as well. I've only got 2 needles here, and all I've done is I've taped them together because it was hurting my hands. But you can actually get a holder that holds about 9 or 11 needles. So instead of going in just once at a time, you have 11 needles going in at a time. So that's like 10 times the amount of needles going in. So obviously that does speed the process up. So she's getting a little bit less soft. I'll wet that bit a little bit. Pulling in a bit now. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze that in. It's just awkward. It's knowing where to hold it, so I don't actually pin myself to the cat. Trust me, these really do go straight through your skin. You know about it when you've done it, that's for sure. I need to sort this camera situation out as well. Anybody's got any suggestions? I'm completely new to recording my crafts, so any suggestions on that would be wonderful. I've been doing recording videos with my daughter. She's got her own YouTube channel. So I have learnt a lot about editing videos in recent times. But we don't have the correct setup yet for doing things like this. So I could do with some more. Another camera setup and probably better lighting. It's not the ideal room, but it's what I've got, so I'm working with it. Yes, I mentioned earlier my anxiety. My craft work's a massive thing for me, and I find if I don't have my craft work, I don't wind down properly. And I do bounce between projects a little bit, but I go through phases. I had a big spurt before Christmas of doing Christmas ornaments, funnily enough. but I did loads of crochet. I've recently done a few crochet ornaments with a tree to sell. And after Christmas, I've made Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas. My daughter's mad on Nightmare Before Christmas. But I start getting tennis elbow, which this probably actually isn't going to help that. But when I'm crocheting a lot, however it's the position I'm in, I assume, I get to the point where it's painful to crochet. So I'm taking a break from crochet for a while now, partly because I've got so much else on. The main project I'm working on at the minute is one that I'm not sure entirely where I'm going with it just yet, so I come and go with it as ideas come. I'll show you more of that another day. Just concentrate on Millie. Right. So her back is getting firmer. I'm gonna turn her onto her side. Then if I've got the pressure underneath her. I did have a pad for felting onto, but anyway, I can't. As you can see, I've got a lot going on, so I don't know where it is. Actually surprised my daughter hasn't joined us. But just by putting her on her side like that, I can put some pressure on it and work down rather than working into it. Sometimes can look a bit odd after you've done this because you do a big section and then she changes shape. She has a big dint in her side. But it's all for the greater good. When I did a lot of this work previously, a few years ago, I had a breakdown and I spent a lot of my time just doing this or just doing crochet. So it was a massive distraction for me. But also what it did was it progressed the project, but because I was quite intense with it, I wanted to finish it. So once I got the basic shape, I wasn't concerned at the time about it not being firm enough. And I just concentrated on the shape and her face, getting it looking right. But the same token, this is the biggest project I've done with needle felting. I've not done an awful lot. That's why these videos are not really teaching you how to. If anything, I'm just hoping to give people confidence to try things. Right, again, the light's really not very good. I'll try and turn the light over, but I had an incident not long ago and knocked everything off. Right, help a little bit. So she's gone quite flat here now, whereas it was bulked out. I think she's quite flat there. But that's pulled in quite a bit there, so I'm going to continue with that. So I also need to get on live stream as well. I did it once. I'm sure I did. I think I did. I'm sure I did a live stream. I've got no idea how I did it though. I can't figure out. Um, so you might have noticed that actually this channel and my business as a whole has very much changed a lot over the years. A lot of that is to do with my state of mind and my mental health. So I'm still going through therapy. I know it doesn't work for everybody, but CBT is really, really good for me. So I'm currently going through that again. And that just helps me get myself organised, really. I seem to need a lot of structure. But my brain runs at 1 million miles an hour all the time. And I either get really stressed out and try and do everything, or I shut off completely and disassociate, and I disappear into another world in my head. But what I would really like is a middle ground where I could just coast along and do things that need doing, but not put too much pressure on myself. I don't seem to have that setting. It seems to be all go or don't do anything, which is not helpful. That's partly why these sessions with my craft work are important, because it gives me that time to shut off, but in a good way. So I've got time to calm my brain. And even just talking to you on the video, I suppose it's like having someone next to me and just chatting to a friend who isn't answering back because they're just bored of me and just not listening. But that's fine, I can cope with that. I don't mind if you've got no volume on. Not that you'll hear me saying that if you've got no volume on. Like I say, this isn't an instructional video anyway, so it's just a chat along. Oh, that's feeling much better now in there, whereas that side is still very soft. It's pulling away quite a bit, but that side is pulling in nicely. So we've made some good progress. So I will come again and show you again Miss Millie and how she is getting on. If you're still with me at this point, thank you for joining me. You deserve a cup of tea. So it was a big act for me today to come on here. I've been wanting to do a lot of videos. I've got a lot of videos to do, and I'd like to start doing some blogging, vlogging even. But I need to work on my confidence. So just coming on here today and you joining me is really good. So I'll speak to you soon. Bye.